let's go ahead and get this set and ready to go from the docking bay area. And with that, the world record attempt is underway. And I believe it's as soon as we hit this OK. So let's jump into it and see how we compare to the current world record. All right. And now we get the loading screen. Which I think this takes a good 20 seconds or so right off the top here. We're closer to 30. And then this is why we have Nightcrawler along for the ride, because we'll need him to zip through a lot of the traversal related stuff. And you'll see as the other members of the team get further and further behind, they will automatically teleport up to where I'm at. And this is really going to help us save on time. Alright, so Nightcrawler is going to surge right on ahead here. And right up here is where we get into the segment. We almost made it across there. You really can't do anything once you are across there, or if you get across there. But this is where Thanos comes into play. Because that gets Nebula down at a very low rate, and just like that we have ripped through her portion of the fight. And then we'll want to surge on ahead. And this next section is one of the areas that Dr. Doom is going to be highly useful for. And once we're up at this platform, we'll want to get Doom set and ready. Because this is going to be very, very efficient for burning down. And then let's go ahead and get some of these guys taken out. And we'll get Doom back up and running to burn down the remainder of the core computer there. And then we'll get Nightcrawler ready to go here.
Glad that's over. Don't get too comfy, pal. Final destination's right on the other side.
And here is Ronan, so we're already saving a decent amount of time here. And that gets us into the second phase real quick.
What the fruit tank was that?
It's too late. The Kree sacrificed thousands of brave souls. Together, the only artifacts capable of holding off the forces of oblivion. And this
here we go. Oh, that was
Perhaps this is...
that was not the split that I was looking for, but I should have hit that on Nebula. So the Nebula split's a little off, which is unfortunate, but in fact, a lot of those splits are a little bit off. I think period was skip the split. That's what it was. Or was it plus? I don't know. It was one of the two. Anyway.
Transported to this place, Quill.
And this will get us through into the next bit.
Cell can hold us.
Looks like we just made bail, Guardians. We've got to repair this terminal if we want to restore power to this dump.
And here we go.
Now can we finally get out of here?
And this should be pretty easy.
Prisoners.
Neither are we.
Just like that. We've got those opponents taken out.
I hear you, buddy. This sure brings back some memories, don't it?
What are you Guardians doing back on Earth?
I guess home is still my happy place.
Alright.
It won't be for long if we don't get things under control. We've got an entire supervillain prison population ready to break free.
Next time you teleport us across the
And
galaxy,
here comes the
try to
last
think of a
section of
beach
people
instead.
coming in.
Prisoners have powers.
Because the raft is reserved exclusively for the worst criminals our planet has to offer. Which makes me wonder. what were you
And
guys
next
doing in there?
is the Sandman fight.
So much better than when I do it alone.
Not that I'm complaining, but shouldn't a prison have, you know, guards?
Yeah, something's definitely not right here.
Ah, finally, some fresh air. Those cells smelled worse than Rocket's bum.
Alright, and here comes the Sandman fight, which should be fairly straightforward here.
In case you hadn't noticed, his whole body's made of sand. Hitting him is useless. It's working.
And
This may be our only chance to stop him.
let's get the last of this put in.
It's like they always
And
say.
then we can one cycle Sandman, which is good there. So not bad at all.
Was that the Green Goblin circling the control tower? No telling the damage that maniac could do if he gains access to the raft.
And we'll go ahead and track down
You must be close to something.
the remainder of these guys here.
You should be able to reach the control tower from here. If you can avoid triggering the defense system, you should be fine.
What good are all these fancy
Of course.
weapons if they're turned off? Here, let me help you with that.
And that gets us through into this one.
Oh, don't worry, little heroes. I have plenty more toys for you to play with.
The prisoners have hacked into the
And
security
I
network.
thought that was
They're
going to
in
be our...
control of all the raft's heavy weaponry.
Alright, let's swap over to Doom here. Or not. And Nightcrawler was the best bet for that gate. Lost a little bit of time there, but I'm not too concerned. And then Thanos Infinite should rock through the remainder of this pretty well.
To get past those security gates, you're gonna have to access the terminals in the proper sequence.
Thanos approved.
Nice work.
And that gets us through that section with relative ease. And this takes us over to the Mysterio fight. Or no, the Venom fight, actually.
finally free. You heroes aren't too bright, are you? I've worked in the circus, and I have never seen such clowns.
And that takes out Electro very fast. And we can probably even take out Venom without too much trouble. Because Venom is... And then heavy attacks here. As long as we can get him to target onto one of these, we should be fine.
Maybe we can use the prison alarm system against it. The alarm is doing the job.
That gets us through there easy, really quick. The game's not certain what to do at certain points here. I think it gets a little confused as to how fast we're, or based off of how fast we're going through a lot of these sections.
Getting closer to the tower, but I'm the one in control.
Freak. Nice to finally have some backup. Thought I'd have to clean up this mess all by myself.
I'm letting these prisoners out early for bad behavior.
Oh, come on! You have got to be kidding me!
And then as these guys run in, they're gonna get hammered down pretty quick.
Let's make this count. I am not doing this a third time.
And then we reset here. It also helps that we can cut down on a lot of time that would otherwise be lost from
Never let walls hold me back before. Not about to start now. Yeah.
from character intros.
How come they can never make getting out of prison easy? Oh, right.
And then if we come over here, come on. This is the puzzle that gets me every time. Nope, that's not it. Terrible time loss here. But we can make up for it. I'm certain of that. Let's grab this one, I believe. No, that's... Alright, let's see if we can get these guys trapped down here. There we go. And then Thanos comes down here. If we have him hit this. There we go.
Simply amazing.
Well, not the greatest segment there. Definite time save, or time that can be saved. But let's continue into the Mysterio fight.
Kids, we're all friends here.
And that triggers the second phase of this fight. And that one-shots all the kids there.
Usually goes nuts when bad guys attack.
Oh, I love this.
Powers are still working.
Not cool.
And then Mysterio comes in.
What oppression looks like.
We've got some unskippable cutscenes here.
A lawyer and a fair trial.
When I get out of here, I'm really gonna let you have it. Just give me like 10,
Alright, and now Mysterio comes in.
I had higher hopes for these young champions. If you think you can defeat me, you are just
And we get bumped back to the other side of the chamber here.
disappear. This is no illusion, heroes. You're doomed. I do love a captive audience. Just wait for my next trick. You won't believe.
And that gets us through Mysterio.
It's not my fault you don't appreciate real showmanship.
We're probably going to be behind on this split here, but there's more time to save in future segments. So, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world.
You heroes just won't quit, will you? It would almost be admirable if it wasn't so blasted annoying.
Hulk has better things to do than smash puny idiots. I will level up.
These sections should go a little bit quicker. And that gets us
We'll help you stop it. We owe you that much.
into the penultimate fight here on the raft.
Next stop,
And unskippable elevator cutscenes here.
the Goblin wants to break out. He'll have to do it from there.
And once that force field goes down, Manhattan becomes supervillain central.
Be honest, it kinda already is, right? Why else would so many of you guys live there?
Technically, I live in Jersey, but I get your point.
First floor. Supervillains and butt kickers.
You will rue the day you thought yourselves fit to challenge Otto Octavius! You've always underestimated me. Never again! My master plan is foolproof!
And now we trigger phase
You
2.
are nothing but fools! This brand of fisticuffs is beneath a genius like me? Typical! You heroes lash out with brute force against those who threaten you intellectually! You cannot lock one as brilliant as I away in a cage! Dr. Octopus must
And
be
now
free
I
to
think
reign supreme.
Thanos has an attack that should help us
Are always getting in my way.
get through this a little bit easier than we otherwise would.
You insignificant fool! Cannot be! I am your
Alright. And yeah, we're going to be a little behind on this segment here. Going into the Green Goblin fight, or we're going to come out a little bit behind.
Forcefield is still up.
But we will more than make up for it in future segments.
Oh man, how come I always
I
have to
guarantee
fight him in high
that.
places? It never...
Plenty of time to kill. Your turn. That's my trick. Hands off, heroes. Get your own toys. How many heroes does it take to stop one goblin? More than you've got. Finally.
Alright, this gets us into the second phase.
How worthy of Norman Osborn.
Unfortunately, there's no bombs out here that we can throw back, but with this,
Take my time and enjoy this. Going to save Spider-Man for last. I'll make
well, we're actually still ahead of pace, which we did lose time but we're ahead of the record split by split, at least.
Nice work.
And now an unskippable loading section, but that happens. Honestly, if you could omit these areas from the runs, it'd probably make it appear... well, I know that there are some areas where you can include just the real-time cuts, the real in-game time rather than loading screens and whatnot, but I don't think that this is competitive enough to really... or competitive enough of a genre for that conversation to happen, really. But this is some of the fastest stuff in the game to work through.
Took you long enough. Good thing I charge by the hour.
Because there
Sorry,
are
Dave. I've got another lead to follow.
there are skippable combat segments here that really help us save a lot of time.
Did I mention that the ancient ninja temple is guarded by actual ninjas? If not, I probably should have. I'm betting you've noticed this by now, but the Hands ninjas have a tendency to appear out of nowhere. See those searchlights sweeping the rooftop?
Ooh.
That means the Hand knows we're coming. Stick to the shadows or you'll never make it to the temple. At least, not in one piece.
Mind yourself.
And here we go. No, that's not the right way. Ooh, that's a nice time save there. And not quite. If I was teleporting, I may have actually been able to do that bit. Which would have been nice. Because that's like a 15-second cycle of waiting for that light to calm down. Unskippable cutscene here, but it's one of the coolest ones that you can't skip through, or coolest cutscenes in general, I guess I should say.
Impressive as always, Jess. You gonna tell me how you got through all that without getting caught?
Nope. Gotta keep the mystery in our relationship alive somehow, babe.
I hate to ditch, but I just got an emergency call from a client who pays a lot more than you. One last thing. Danny just texted me and told me he'll meet you at the door. Knowing him, you'll probably want to stand back.
Come on. And there we go.
That was a good warm-up, but the real challenge still lies ahead.
Let the fires of battle rage! Hulk has better things to do than smash beauty idiots!
And continuing with our trend of sucking the life out of our opponents here.
They chose a violent path.
I love how quick Thanos just tears through these things.
I've searched the whole room and there are no other doors. Unless we find a way to open this gate, our journey ends here. I recognize this. It's the Azure Dragon of the East. And who can forget the good old Black Turtle of the North? This one is the White Tiger of the West. A classic.
And here is an awesome section that we can just skip through. And just blitz right on through here, because that is non-mandatory combat.
My radar sense gives me an advantage, letting me sense where their triggers are. Your safest bet is to let me or another teammate who can detect danger lead the way.
And then we have a mandatory combat section.
I hear more coming, like rats scurrying the walls. This time.
And then through these doors into the electrify. Every little bit of a time save helps. And there goes the Mystics. And that's Electra down. Come on, skip through that cutscene there. It's a blood-curdling type of scream.
I will not be trapped in this accursed place any longer. There, an exit from this infernal cage.
And here we go, zipping right on through this section as well. I think that Nightcrawler really is one of the best characters, hands down, for speedrunning things, because he can just get through segments so much faster than anyone else can. And that gets us into the second section here.
I make killing an art. Do me a favor and die already. I have a reputation.
And just like that, Bullseye is down. Fastest Bullseye fight I've ever seen.
Something tells me the Kingpin didn't put his latest acquisition on display. If we want the stone, we'll have to find him first.
These have anything to do with those statues we saw.
And Hulk is actually going to be really good for this section because he just doesn't care about the opponents that come in. And the best strategy that I've found is you want to line them up almost exactly where they're supposed to go, but don't put them in place until you've got them all lined up. So now we'll go ahead and move them in. And then switch over onto Nightcrawler.
That's much better feng shui.
And then just zip right on through here. No time wasted. In fact, a whole lot of time saved, if we're being honest.
I do my best fighting in hallways.
Yeah, but I prefer walls I can use to my advantage, not ones I can kick straight through.
Then skip right on through to the top of the tower here. And then we are right back on track with some of our time save here.
From the gutters of Hell's Kitchen to the top of the world. Now, with this crystal enhancing my power, this city will belong to
Listen, this. Perhaps I do not need the stones after all.
And then let's go ahead and get a couple more of those heavy attacks there. And then here we go into...
bow to my demands, I'm afraid you're in for a very hostile takeover. Yield to me.
And there we are. We lost about a minute with that puzzle in the first bit, but we just gained back almost a full 2 minutes here. Come on, skip through all these cutscenes. And then Thanos is actually going to be not too bad here, because he can skip through or power through a lot of the attacks that would otherwise stagger some people out. We're still doing pretty well. As of right now, we've got the record in the bag.
You guys are probably going to want to take a look at these readings.
That is curious. Perimeter scans reveal no external threats to Avengers Tower.
And here's the next combat section.
Jarvis?
I cannot access the tower's operating system either, Iron Man. If our mainframe has been compromised, we are no longer safe in our own home.
Then I guess it's a good thing I own about a dozen others.
How glorious it must be to be Tony Stark.
You know what? It is. It really is.
They seem to agree.
My drones? They shouldn't have been activated on their own. Help me shut them down, G.
And here we go. Hulk actually might be a little bit better because he doesn't get pushed around as easily.
Initiated. Since the iron drones are linked to the lab's mainframe,
Unskippable dialogue here.
We
continue Vision's research on the ISO 8. I think you're gonna like what we found.
And then we just zap zoom right on through.
I have found a means to evolve machine kind beyond our programming.
And then we just have Hulk sit here and tank through these attacks from these guys.
Access to the next sector is currently obstructed. You will need to enter the override code into the nearest interface terminal. Tower systems restored to 25% functionality. Iron Man's armors were designed to aid us against our enemies, not to become enemies themselves.
And just like that.
Systems restored to 40% functionality.
Let's keep moving.
Avengers, this is the Wasp. I'd love to join the fun, but I'm currently locked down in the main living quarters. If you happen to have a second to swing by and set me free, that'd be swell.
And this section is not mandatory, so we can continue right on through it.
Attacking our systems was only the first stage of the attack. Now Ultron sent his drones to do his dirty work. Good thing I'm in the mood to crack open some metal heads.
Come with hope.
Yeah.
Something is amiss in the training facility. Please proceed with caution.
No. Let's trigger that cutscene first. And then send Hulk through this maze of training. And then thanks to Thanos there, he kept the different guys off my back, which is good.
This is a private Avengers party. No crashers rules allowed. Ultron and I go way back. His sentries have never seen this alive. Vision, if you're not too busy, you might want to scan these guys for abnormal energy readings.
Here comes the end of it.
For an Avenger.
This should be the end of them.
That was tougher than I expected.
Easy enough.
This area of the tower is now secure. Please continue to the next interface terminal at once. I'm detecting strong energy readings directly outside of the tower. This may be the next wave in Ultron's attack. Keep heading towards the helipad.
Yeah, Nightcrawler just leaves the rest of the team so far in the dust. Gosh, the game doesn't know what to do. It's freaking out.
Who designed this room? Oh, right, me. Well, even if it survives Ultron's attack, I'm scrapping it after this and putting it in a Zen garden.
Awesome. He didn't knock me down, which is good.
65% functionality.
It's still further down. And then we can enter in over here. And basically walk right up to the final terminal here.
Tower systems restored to 75% functionality.
Let's get Hulk on this terminal.
Tower systems restored to 90% functionality.
Just a little further. The helipad is straight ahead.
Try to keep up.
Alright, and then here is the Ultron fight.
My armored shell has always been superior to your frail, fleshy forms. But my artificial mind was limited by inferior programming. But at long last, the Mind Stone has unlocked my true processing potential.
And that gets
I give
phase
you credit.
2.
You organic life forms may be obsolete, but you fight as if you still have a future. Damage me all you wish. You will not prevail. I have analyzed every possible outcome and prepared contingencies. Today, the age of Ultron begins.
Alright.
Even my most powerful attacks cannot match the might of the Mind Stone. Your attacks may destroy my sentries, but the one true Ultron is forged to perfection.
And now the Ultimo fight, which should go relatively smooth here.
Ultimo's a walking weapon mass destruction. He may be headed for a
Gosh, that's right. There's the
but Ultron could easily use him to level the entire
sentries
city.
that come in here first.
Hang tight, Avengers. Help is on the way. Just hold back that oversized Iron Man knockoff and clear me a place to land. Almost there, team, and I'm headed in hot.
And just like that, Ultimo didn't even get to use his attack that typically staggers you out there or holds you back.
With the Mind Stone and Ultimo both in
Which I'm not
play,
complaining about.
I've determined a new plan of attack. I will head to the rooftop and prepare the weaponry required for the final battle. Meet me there at once. Yeah.
Hate to break it to you, Viz, but Ultimo is nearly invulnerable.
And we keep on moving.
I am more interested in defeating Ultron than Ultimo. And I believe I have found a way to use the ISO 8 to our advantage in that situation.
And here comes the first stall.
Yikes! Hot plasma beam incoming!
Ant-Man, get him under control before he takes out the whole tower.
Your time will come, Avengers, as soon as I exterminate this oversized pest.
The ISO 8's proximity to the Mind Stone should enhance my processing power exponentially.
Alright.
Does that mean you can shut
Hold
Ultimo
out
down?
over here again, because we're going to need to do that
But
one more
first,
time.
I will have to collect data from the fallen sentries to locate weaknesses in Ultron's program.
Sorry!
What are you doing out there, Scott?
Oh, you know, just grappling with a synthesoid the size of a skyscraper. Typical day at the office. This way. Level up.
Analysis has yielded
There we are.
results.
That gets us
I may
into
have found a
phase,
pathway into Ultron's
well, the first phase of the actual Ultimo fight here.
Remotely lower Ultimo's defenses?
Affirmative. We may not be able to damage him physically, but we can disrupt Ultron's control signal.
Weapons adjusted to target Ultron's core program. I have succeeded in lowering Ultimo's defenses. Target Ultimo, now!
Alright, everybody else, this is where you get on your own turret and we put in some work.
Thanks for the backup.
Ultron's first firewall has been breached.
I have rewritten my code. Your efforts were for nothing.
I will need to collect more data and search for another entry point into his system. Defense is successfully neutralized. Ultron is vulnerable.
And then we are
once again.
quickly moving through into the second phase of the fight, and then the third phase, which is
I'm pretty sure he's the only one making
the
robots that are
old,
even remotely good right now.
or the longest portion of the slog, unfortunately.
Ultron's second firewall has been breached.
You will not corrupt my system again, my child. Surrender, and I will use the stone to permanently upgrade your minds.
Weakened once again. Activate turrets.
This is merely a minor
Come on, guys,
setback.
get on the turrets.
Tell that to the people whose lives
Nightcrawler, what are you doing, juggling around your swords like that? I get it, that's a good job. It's a cool animation, but we really should have been on the turrets instead of flexing our circus talents.
More data must be gathered from the sentries before I can proceed.
Yes.
With the Mind Stone, all mechanical life is mine to command, and mankind will be next.
Defense is successfully neutralized.
Alright, and just like that, I could have used my extreme attacks there, but honestly, it's not worth having the animation play out more often than not. And we saved about another 2 minutes on the run as a whole
Final
there.
Firewall has been breached. Initiating containment protocol.
And now we can just zip on through into the next section. here we can just move right past these guys. I assumed that these guys were mandatory, but they're not. You've just got to get past them.
I must bring this blackbird to roost in a safer place. Convene with the mansion's posterior, and try not to bring any uninvited guests along with you.
Alright, let's just start chucking some of these cores around.
Your head's in the game, X-Men.
That's what I do best, Cyclops.
Show them how it's done, Kurt.
Yeah, just like old times, Peter. My tail's just begun.
It's funny because there are sections here where the Sentinels are dead before they finish dropping, and the game doesn't know what to do, and I just wasted a cord. But we're not that far behind. See, right there, he's not fully clear that he's dead on arrival there. And so the game doesn't quite process it. It's hilarious. Alright, and then we've got some Sentinels we can skip by right here as well.
You might want to search the area for more anomalies.
Your grim count.
Alright, then let's get the Infinity Sentinel down here.
Front of the mansion has been cleared. But what is now even clearer is that this threat is far from over.
Any room for me?
And that'll do it in terms of taking him out. Easy, easy, easy. I love being able to one-cycle these bosses. It's a ton of fun. And then here, we can play things one of two ways. We can throw, or we can rip through the characters and take them out as quickly as we can. I'm gonna try throwing, because I do have Nightcrawler who's decently underleveled.
If you want to beat me, you better shape up.
Alright, come on guys. There we go.
You X-Men never learn.
I think that is ultimately faster.
I'm gonna crush you.
The Juggernaut's inertia is impossible to diminish. He's gonna bring down the whole flippin' mansion.
Despite taking quite a heavy hit there, we're good to keep moving.
I will destroy you!
Oh, so now Deadpool is inspired to join our cause. How wrong.
Guess we're ordering out tonight. Who wants pizza?
Oh, that was ugly. And I would not. I left the stove on.
Alright.
Here come you dumb friends, fool. Now I can stop all of you.
Party time!
I haven't had this much fun in ages. I'd like to see you try to stop me.
And just like that. Sub 50 Juggernaut. Which is very impressive because my other splits on that is very, very far ahead. We actually might be able to get this in under an hour. Nah, we're well far enough ahead on our pace that we're going to be able to do that. Especially because the wrong way. Because the Mystique combat segment isn't against Mystique, and it's really quite easy with
training sequence initiated. Level Alpha.
Thanos here.
Training programs may be holographic, but they can still hurt us.
They don't call it the danger room for nothing.
Plenty of brains to go around.
Level Alpha cleared.
Alright.
Level Beta.
Round 2.
On guard.
And soon to be round 3. Let's use the other attack here by Thanos. Because this one should tear through these guys pretty well. Provided that I'm facing the right way, it would. So let's run this again.
The threat level is escalating quite rapidly.
You think this is intense? Hey, Mystique, switch it over to the file marked Deadpool's Danger Room Dream Dates.
Level Gamma.
And now we can keep moving.
Level Delta. Critical error. Power levels beyond maximum threshold. Abort training sequence. Abort. Abort. Abort.
I just love how quickly Nightcrawler gets us through these sections. You know, I could technically go down that hallway, but, well, with as far ahead as I am, I should have been able to.
You're lucky you control metal, bub, because that's the only thing keeping my claws off you.
It's not too late to join me, X-Men.
Come on, Magneto, bro! I'm not even technically an X-Man!
You cannot stop evolution. This power is exactly what I've been seeking.
There we go.
I shall build a new world in the name of Homo Superior.
We are 8 minutes ahead, knocked a whole 4 minutes off of that segment there. Yeah, this is ripping through real quick.
Slaughter them, Outriders.
Okay, we're going to... Nope, this is the section where we can or do need to defeat the opponents.
The stones will be ours before the rest of the Black Order even arrives.
Oh, the Switch is having a hard time handling these frames and all these particle effects here.
Will be most pleased.
A 100 ugly
Alright, and then here's where we want to throw again. Similar to what we did before. Now, Thanos could take him down pretty quick, but it's honestly quicker to just take the L. Because right like that, I mean, that's faster than what Thanos could have. Actually, no, because this is the segment where you gotta have the whole team go down, and Thanos is way too high up there. Down he goes. And I thought for the longest time that that fight was just meant to be impossible. And it is. But you can actually get some in-game artwork if you are able to take these guys out.
She's back. How the heck can we fight them both?
And same thing here, where you can take him out.
Any room for me?
Yeah, might as well. Oh, that didn't take him out, huh? Figured that it may have. That's Proxima down. And that's Corvus down. And now we've just got to keep moving. And technically, I think this does make this section go marginally faster due to the fact that... Get around that car. Due to the fact that we didn't have to wait for the team to revive up.
What are you waiting for? Go already and leave the alien freaks to me.
Not a full-time streamer. I mean, not yet. But we're working up to that. I mean, we're still a little bit behind the follower goal to be considered a Twitch partner, so... But I wouldn't complain if we could get to that point. Yeah, currently I'm only streaming once, sometimes twice a week. Most of the work I actually do is over on my YouTube channel, which is linked right over here. I can point. Well, it's not linked, but the name of it's right there if you want to go check me out there as well. Right, these guys are optional. Keep moving through.
Mindless ones. Their only instincts are to defend this dimension and to conquer others.
We've got to stop these beasties before they overflow into our reality.
And this will take out most of these guys.
That about does it. Tea, anyone?
Yeah, that was... I always assume that there's a skipped cutscene.
Magic powering these portals.
So I often hit the pause button right there.
Even for the dark dimension.
Be on the lookout for anything unusual in that region.
Another rift. It's as if the fabric between dimensional planes is beginning to shred.
Ah.
We
Well, this is the section where they don't just catch up.
To the other side. The magic from this artifact is somehow powering the rift. Maybe destroying it will close the crack and keep the darkness from seeping into other dimensions.
Alright, and then let's grab this one over here.
Of course, the magical signature of each artifact seems to correspond with a similar...
Yeah, we're very well ahead of the pace here, and I anticipate we can continue to exceed the requirement for it.
Yet not one goes with my outfit.
There we go.
Pity that. This rift is different. Stronger. I can feel it.
And if we sit over here, that's gonna take me off into the wrong direction. And that takes out those, which triggers the next area here.
Magic will be needed to mend this fracture. I will have to handle this one myself.
My setup, I'm using OBS, but the game capture screen is still through Elgato. Unfortunately, I don't have the Elgato Stream Deck to do the setup here, so the gameplay footage is being played through the Elgato capture card sequence, and then I'm just using the screen capture from OBS to allow a more personalized setup for what I'm needing it for. And I've got the audio I've got coming through a Blue Yeti stereo studio microphone, which has treated me very well. And the webcam is just a standard Logitech webcam, nothing too special about it. There we are.
All of these rifts lead to different dimensions. We have to seal them shut before the realities converge.
There we are. And now we can keep moving through this segment. Yeah, I really like that equipment. It's done very, very well for me. Actually, Doom is better at getting up this section here. It's nice to have a flyer on the team, because teleporting isn't always the answer. Though it is fast for 95% of the travel.
Let the dark magic of this dimension consume you! Focus your strength against me! Those who trespass here will never leave this realm again! The doctor is out, but Dormammu will answer your call! I've waited so long to make you mine, Strange.
And here comes another frame rate drop, because that's a lot of particle effects coming in here. This is an official world record attempt for New Game Plus, which we're currently about 4 minutes ahead, or no, 8 minutes ahead of the pace.
You still fight to save him? Such fascinating
I'm confident that we're quite a bit further ahead. Because the overall record is just under 23, or 2 hours and 23 minutes. But it was done in an older version of the game that allowed a character duplication glitch.
Dormammu's toying with a reality stone's power. He's altering the fundamental properties of this dimension.
Alright, let's get through this. Or it allowed a character duplication glitch, so the previous world record is done with 4 versions of Captain America at level 100. And the only stipulations on the any percent is that it must be played on solo. There's no limit as to characters used, so using Thanos Infinity just seems like a wise move, given that he's so powerful. And then the rest of the team is for traversal, because the character duplication glitch was patched out in a previous patch, or shortly after release, as a matter of speaking.
But the reality stone has created dark crystals that we can use to absorb and reflect Dormammu's energy. If we can find them. These are the
And one more of those will allow us to throw it over and break through this rift.
We should be able to use these to erect a mystical shield. But the crystals are more fragile than I expected.
So it's a drastically different team setup and even patch version, but given the adjustments that have been made, I'm confident that we'll be able to do it. Yeah, I've got a lot of info on this game. This is really what started to started my whole Twitch and YouTube channel activity, really. And I've played a couple of other games. I make on the YouTube channel, I do Ultimate Alliance 3 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do Minecraft on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then currently I've got a Breath of the Wild series that's going on Sundays. And I played a couple of different desktop and like Nintendo 64 games growing up, but a lot of my game experience is more of the platforming, actually. Puzzles, platforming types, because I didn't... The first game system that I bought and owned on my own was the PlayStation 4 a couple of years ago, and because I had a lot of lack of practice with the FPS genre, I don't tend to do very well at those, because it's not the game type that I really did a whole lot with. I might do better at some of them now that I have a PC that I can pick them up on, because I think, or I've heard, that it tends to be a little bit easier using a mouse instead of a joystick for aiming. But I haven't tested that theory as of yet. Get Loki out of the way. Yeah, the most first-person shooter experience that I've had so far has been some Overwatch, and that isn't a true first-person shooter, especially where the characters that I tend to play the most don't rely as much on the first-person shooter aspect of it. Junkrat is really the character that I tend to play most and have the most fun with. And he requires 0 aim. Just a good understanding of angles and a lot of luck, really. That takes out the second bit of that. just got to get one more in there. Ah, dang it. Is there another crystal hanging out here? There's another one up here I can grab. There we go. Alright, thanks for checking in, and we should be back with another live stream on this next Friday. But you have a good rest of your night, Shadow.
Accustomed to chaos, but this realm makes even my head spin.
You know, I'm suddenly kind of glad I didn't have those tacos after all, because I'd probably be spewing them back into my mask about now.
Alright.
The end is nigh. You should have learned by now. Which sorcerer is truly supreme, Stephen?
I have, Dormammu. He is about to extinguish your flame once and for all.
Oh, come on.
You are either exceptionally brave or insane.
Let's get a couple of these charged up. We're gonna need them for this barrier. And particle effects were failing on that crystal there.
Tire of these games. You shall learn that Dormammu is always the victor, no matter the reality. This is my domain. None shall be able to defeat me
Alright,
here.
let's grab this one here. Now that that barrier's up, we can throw one stone. And 2 stone. And then we should even just be able to charge into them and take out the rest of them here. Lost a little bit of time there. But we're still well ahead of the record.
What
We can't.
Should be able to save a decent amount of time here. Skip through that dialogue there. Skip through this cutscene here.
Has all of Adelon gone mad?
I win!
Alright.
Hurry. We must deliver him to the infirmary at once. If we don't get Gorgon some help fast, he's not going to make it.
And now another combat segment that we have to go through.
I'll use my amber to shield Gorgon from further damage. You focus on the Alpha primitives.
I should have known you were behind this, Maximus. Only you would dare betray our people.
I am nothing if not predictable. Isn't that right, brother? The silent treatment, as always. But I'll give you some.
Yeah, Maximus, you wouldn't want him to speak up, because that would be the end of your world as you know it. Let's get through this section, because this combat is not necessary.
I'm not a fighter, but I guess this is my battle now.
This isn't the first time Maximus has tried to claim the throne from his brother. Not even close. The guy's a brilliant inventor, but he's never been quite right in the head. Still, not or not, he is found. We refuse to give up on him, even if he refuses to change his ways. Maximus, it doesn't have to be this way. We can help you if you let us.
Your pathetic attempts to resist are almost adorable.
I win!
My tail is just begun. Is that really all you got? I've gone from mad to bored.
We're going to do the third and final segment of this fight.
If you're done, I have a city to rule.
Any room for me?
And gain some time back there, so that's good.
Curse you.
Is it clear now who wears the crown?
Alright, come on. Let's move through it.
This is Winter Soldier, broadcasting on the Avengers emergency frequency. Again. This.
And most of this upcoming bit is non-mandatory. Combat. So we should be able to rip through this pretty quick.
These are the coordinates Bucky transmitted. Where is he?
Alright, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Mandatory combat segment right up here around the corner.
It's an ambush. AIM must have expected us.
I win!
That should take care of them.
Alright, that takes care of
AIM's not messing around.
the first wave here, and then we get the second wave with Storm.
My fury will rain down upon you. Lightning strike.
Looks like AIM is turning up the heat. Watch your feathers, folks.
This will get the remainder of these guys taken out.
Cannot contain a force of nature. The winds are changing in our favor.
And a couple more. to fight with Claw. Well, eventually. Moving.
That's part of a Quinjet. Good thing the Winter Soldier was built tough.
That means he's still out here somewhere. We need to keep searching.
AIM will not dishonor this sacred land. Strike their barriers down at their source.
There we are. And on to the next.
We're pinned. We need to disable those turrets.
We are easy targets where we stand. We must find a better angle of attack at once.
That gets one of the power cells down. This gets the other.
We must find something to block their attack.
This gets us through into the next segment here.
I know that smell. It's burning jet fuel.
I don't think I have that segment for MODOK, right? Maybe I do. We'll see. Copied him over from the existing run, so we'll see. Because we're not even over to the claw fight yet. There's no way that was 124. We're past the halfway point though, so that's good. Yeah, there's no way that MODOK split was 124. And let's just keep moving through here.
Soldier is not. Could that be a blessing in disguise?
That parachute. The Winter Soldier must have ejected before the crash.
I knew it. There's no way he.
And then there's a mandatory combat segment up off of this cliff here.
Hold them, my sisters.
And I think that one of the best strategies I've found here is taking on these guys all at about the same time. Oh, that was not nice, dude. Come on.
Wakanda forever!
The Illuminati are formidable, but even the best warrior benefits from strong allies.
Yeah, there's no way it was 124. Because we haven't even hit the claw fight. I'm attributing that to... I'm writing that down wrong. But we'll see. And then two more. They're both right here.
Your sisters have served your kingdom well, my trusted guardian.
Yeah, because we're just getting to the claw fight at the end of this Panther Tunnel section, so we rewrote that down wrong. That's got to be what it was.
I would gladly give my life for my king.
It will not be necessary. Not today.
these guys here. And then zip through this next segment here. Nightcrawler's going to be easiest for it.
That does not bode well. Not well at all.
AIM has taken control of the palace's defenses. We must destroy the control modules.
Once the control modules are destroyed, Wakanda's defenses will be restored, and AIM will be vanquished.
Don't get me stuck back there. There we are.
With the statues under our control, we can show AIM what they were truly meant to do.
Did they really think they could turn a panther against you, T'Challa?
Go now before more reinforcements arrive. We will keep the invaders at bay.
Stop me from getting my revenge. The Panther will pay. If you want to claim Wakanda glory, then we shall.
There we are. Easy first cycle.
We're not here for you, Claw. We just want the Winter Soldier.
Get him. Oh, yes. Yeah, there's no way. I wrote that down wrong. That's the way it has to be. And we'll see. We'll see that here. We can also make up a lot of time in the Hell segment as well. All right, it's at 100, so let's go. Let's move.
We are approaching the throne room, my friend.
We must find MODOK and recover the stone before he can use it against my people.
We must protect.
And in turn, the palace shall protect you. The Dora Milaje would never attack their king. The Soul Stone has corrupted them.
It's nice to finally face opponents up to my level. Be careful not to harm them. They are not in control of their actions.
Level up. I hate fighting your own crew, T'Challa.
All right, and here comes the rest of these guys.
MODOK has turned even more of your soldiers against us, Your Highness. Level up.
And that gets a lot more of these guys taken out.
I will.
I think you've trained your guards a little too well, T'Challa.
Forgive me, adored ones.
And here we go into the necropolis.
MODOK has retreated into the necropolis. We must pursue him at once.
And here's a non-mandatory traversal segment that'll be a lot of fun to work through.
As long as that stone is in Modok's hand, none in Wakanda are safe. It is our duty to stop him.
The necropolis is where Wakanda's former kings rest in eternal glory. Tread carefully, unless you wish to join their ranks.
So these ruins are full of dead monarchs.
Winter Soldier would have been a lot more useful down here with us.
Alright, come on. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving.
Let's make sure it wasn't for nothing. If Modok is as wise as he believes, he would have retreated to these catacombs.
Oh, come on.
The necropolis holds more than just the remains of my ancestors. It is home to Wakanda's greatest treasure. Knowledge. My father is buried here. I will not see this place defiled.
The path has been blocked. I think we can all guess what awaits us on the other side.
No, that's not the way that I wanted that to go. And now that we are through this gate, we can keep moving through into the necropolis.
Your ancestors were ahead of their time, T'Challa. Thank them for me when I send you to meet them.
This knowledge was not meant to be perverted by villains such as you.
If everything is just an experiment, perhaps you'd like to test my facts.
Alright.
I've been waiting to punch that big, ugly head of his. Modok may look laughable, but he's a genuine threat.
I'm going to take my time and savor this, heroes.
Souls are meant to be nurtured, not devoured or twisted to your grotesque whim.
Yeah. Well, we're still like right there in line.
So much potential.
Kind of. No. Yeah, because we'll showcase here that we've
take the stones. But if you resist,
got a lot
we
of
will take your lives.
ground to make up, but I'm confident that I misnoted that timestamp. So we'll get a more accurate representation, a more accurate indication of where we're at here in just a moment.
There, that chamber. We should be safe inside.
Because we can whip through this real fast and then get a real indication of where we're at. Ugh. Barring that mistake, I think we're still on a really good pace here.
Sadly, there is no easy escape from this
And the next combat segment is going to be a ways down the road, which is why it's nice to have Nightcrawler here.
Queen of Hell has many powers, Rodent. Helping others is not one of them. These lost souls have learned to withstand great punishment in their time here. Insurmountable danger lurks around every turn in this realm. Choose your path wisely, my friends. This definitely isn't the same hell that I'm used to. I hope that yours is significantly more pleasant.
And then this is a mandatory combat section.
These fallen warriors have not yet accepted that it is time for them to rest. Then let's
relieve them of their duty.
My tale's just begun.
The walls between life and the afterlife are thinner than most think.
Aye, and if my hammer has its way, those walls will soon be crushed to rubble.
Alright, and grab these guys as well. There we are. Now we can keep moving.
Be proud, my fallen brothers. You fought well, even in
And then this section we can zip through pretty well.
Better if you choose the path, since I ain't never been one to take the high road.
Follow home, beauty heroes!
And the next mandatory combat segment. Oh, the map hadn't even loaded there. That's how fast we're going here.
this realm was not meant for mere mortals to withstand.
And then we do want to make sure that we take out these guys because they are a part of, or they do play into account of, the next combat segment right here, because this is non-skippable.
Beyond those gates lies our only hope to return to the mortal realm.
Where is this last guy? There we are. Whoever it was, they took him out, and we can keep on moving.
The gates of Castle Hela have opened themselves to us.
Then into the jaws of the dragon we go.
This does not bode well. Fire demons are not native to this realm. What dark pact has Hela conjured now?
And then I think Doom does better in this section, so we'll switch over to him. Ah, come on.
Yeesh. I've been on torture planets more welcoming than this place.
The throne room lies ahead.
That's why you always bring someone who can fly in your party.
I shall prepare my sword, just in case.
Alright, and then here is where we want Hulk for a bit of some action, because he's going to do very, very well at one particularly daunting task.
These demons born of Muspelheim frolic in scorching lava as if it were a cool spring.
And then I think Surtur is one of the ones that we cannot one cycle, but a two cycle is likely.
The Rainbow Bridge. We've made it back to Asgard.
Alas, we are not the only ones who have crossed the veil. Surtur is besieging the Bifrost.
noble realm with your mere presence, foul demon.
Well, maybe we can one cycle him.
If it is Ragnarok thou bringest, let us burn together.
Nice.
You know what?
That villainous vixen Hela is still at large.
Yeah, we can get through this real quick, which means that I have mismarked that split. Come on. And through that mess.
It cannot be. Has Asgard truly fallen? Not yet. And as long as the city still stands, we'll stand with it. These mortals dare lay siege to the realm eternal? We must journey to the palace at once and show them their folly.
And here we are. Come on.
We must fight in their honor. We have come to
This ought to take out these guys.
scourge from our homeland together.
The realm eternal has been sealed from within. We must retake the gates.
Asgard, even under siege, 'tis a glory to behold. I win!
That gets these three. There's gonna be more that jump in over here.
I win!
And these are the last two. And only a few more mandatory combat segments to go here. And only a few more to grab here. Where's the last one? You're back here. And I believe this is the spot. Oh, there's one more. No, this is it. Because this is the barricade that they have up here, which means that we need to double back down this way.
When I was a boy, I used these tunnels to flee the palace and escape my father's wrath.
We will be lucky
Why do I always think it's that way?
Got another hit on the scanners. You must be close to something.
Yeah, we're close to one of them rifts that we're not going to be checking out because that's not what we're here for. Thanks, though, Nick.
Join Hydra in their pursuits. This unholy alliance shall not stand.
We can probably be to this fight with Red Skull at around the 150 mark.
Beats the raft any day.
Unskippable combat segment right here.
Let me change that.
Are you kidding? You let Loki out of his cell? No way that traitor's walking free on our watch.
Oh, the things I do for you mortals. One day of heroics should atone for centuries of evil, no? Fortunate for you that I'm trying to be good today.
Come on, grab these two.
What will these mortals learn?
It's actually Doom right here.
Forge ahead. Asgard's throne awaits.
Because stairs, that's why.
We got visitors.
Hydra brought quite an arsenal, but it shall not be enough to keep us from dethroning their false king.
There we go. That's the last of the laser grids for the entirety of the game here.
You're not going any further.
Then the time has come to pay our respects to the new world.
And that gets these guys down. And these guys down. Start this one up again. Alright, and then into the Hydra fight. Yeah, and this further affirms my suspicions that I had marked down that timestamp wrong, because it's not going to take me nearly as long as what's marked here to take on Red Skull.
The Queen of Hell does not tolerate failure. Lay down your lives for the mortals, and I promise you an eternity at my side.
All my years, I have never felt such power. Finally, the key to victory is within my grasp. From this throne, I shall rule the whole cosmos.
Must I do everything?
Such disrespect. Bow to me, dogs.
The only tyrant who shall sit on that throne is my father.
I will smash that ghoulish grin right off that bony face.
There we go. And then I typically take this timestamp after the Destroyer Armor fight's complete. So we'll go ahead and treat that the same here.
The Destroyer was forged by the All-Father himself to serve as Asgard's ultimate weapon.
It's gonna be a lot easier once we have access to the rainbow ISO from these guys.
I didn't know they came in that color. These crystals may be our only hope to defeat the Destroyer.
Any room for me?
Let's see how this does. Doesn't appear.
We can't afford to lose.
Now I've seen enough giant metal death machines to last me a lifetime.
You will not take this victory.
Okay, yeah, we had definitely mistimed that previous segment. Because we are
The stones you seek.
almost 20 minutes ahead of the run here. Hey Buster Barley, thanks for the host. We are on the cusp of beating the world record here. So to any and all watching from over there, thank you and welcome. We're just about done and about to beat a world record here. It's going pretty well. This is 30 minutes left on the overall timer compared to the previous run, but I am confident that we're gonna come in well under that and snag the overall record here. Nice. It's early morning UK, right? If I remember correctly, it's Saturday over in the UK right now. We're still Friday night. Come on, take out that Outrider there. And when they all bunch up like this, you can just one-shot them all with that ability there of Thanos's. Yeah, early morning. Good on ya. I'm not much of an early riser myself. More of a night owl. So I mean, if I'm awake at 5:30 in the morning, it's because I stayed up all night. Don't do that as much anymore, especially where or when I have work the next day. Alright. Here comes the Ebony Maw fight. Woke up at 5 a.m. What, I'm not super familiar. How early is it typical to put on tea? Because tea's like the real big thing in Britain, in the UK, from what I understand. So how early does the kettle go on? General curiosity, really. Or I guess maybe even, are there certain kinds of tea that are meant to be, or that are drank depending on the time of day, like an evening tea, or a morning tea, or a midday?
Time for games is over, children.
Do not allow the Soul Stone's power to corrupt you.
I'll tear your soul in two if I must.
Doing this again, huh?
I expect to fall less from you.
And this ought to be the last of that.
That's one stone in hand.
So now on to the super giant fight.
Keep your eyes peeled for Thane. The Black Order may be holding him prisoner, or worse.
You truly believe you can win this, don't you?
Like it about an hour after waking up.
Without the Mind Stone. I'll try to shield us from the mental attack.
Okay. And then is it one kind of tea really at any given time during the day, or is there different types of tea that work best with different times of day? Or that I guess are preferred at different times of day.
Caution. This stone is capable of reprogramming minds.
That gets
the
the...
to pieces just as easily.
Stay clear. Don't let her warp your mind.
I suppose it's time to get serious.
And hopefully we can use some of these cores here. Oh, come on.
Fight them to the death if you must. Or I swear by this
stone I will make you. You cannot escape the influence of the Mind Stone.
Maybe we can't stop the stone, but we can still stop the Lady Hulk.
These savages know better than to resist me.
That's Super Giant down.
Down your lives in the name of...
Then Cole is my least favorite of these. But he is up next, so...
Has concession stands? Or maybe a bathroom? Seriously, we've been fighting for hours without eating or taking a potty break. I can't be the only one who's gotta go, right?
Gotcha. And I don't mean that like by mixing tea, but more in the way of... Is it routine to have one type of tea in the morning and a different style later on?
Hulk didn't get to smash Ugly Giant last time. Hulk won't waste another chance.
So this is Mighty, because it's the same difficulty that the current world record is on. And so I wanted to mirror that. I could have probably maybe done it on friendly, but I didn't want to. It's still like having some element of the challenge to it. Hulk was too far away there for me to get really any real benefit out of that. I mean, you can give it a whirl. I think that I've got a couple other strategies up my sleeve that might help with keeping it up as well. I do plan on submitting this one to speedrun.com as well. Yeah, because I'm guessing that if you were to take it on friendly difficulty, it would be pretty simple or pretty straightforward. But I'm also wondering if you can submit the run on the friendly difficulty or if it has to be done on mighty or higher. The rule set's really kind of vague because it just says that it can be done with any character but must be played on solo. So you can't co-op it to get
My protective spell shield
the item, but maybe friendly would still fly.
Everyone stay close to the station.
I'll twist you to my whims and then rip you to shreds.
He's on his own this time. We need to finish him before his partner has a chance to rescue him again.
I've also been working towards taking the any percent friendly in the new game category. There goes Corvus.
If that's what it takes to defeat you.
I mean, it's a 2-hour run, so it's no small feat. I think if I had the other members of my team a little bit higher level or had made some different choices with some of the team members, then I could have possibly even gotten a sub 2. I do think sub 2 is possible under the right circumstances. Corvus. Deadpool, Infinite Thanos, Captain America, and Venom. I really, really like Venom as a character. He was on my team my first playthrough of the game. Deadpool is quite handy as well, and he also has the benefit of teleportation as his double jump, so that's good. And then Captain America is always good to have around because he can amp up your attacks. It makes me wonder if it might be beneficial to run Cap and Morbius, because Morbius can decrease the amount of damage that is, or increase the amount of damage that's received by your opponents, and then Cap can increase the amount of damage that's output to your opponents. So that might be a noteworthy strategy for any game, or for new game plus type runs, or just for running, you know, because you want to. Because the current world record stands in an older, or in this category, the current world record stands on an older version of the game where there was actually a bug that allowed you to duplicate characters, and so the 2 hour and 20-minute world record is currently with a quad Captain America team setup. And it's wild because you can stack their team buffs there as well. If I had my Morbius up to level 100 or so, I think that could help out quite a bit with it. And now it's just the Thanos and Thane fights here. It's also interesting because no one's really attempted this run since the current record's about 11 months old in this category. And since then, with all the patches that we've had, the hero cap has increased as well, or the hero level cap. Because at the time, the level cap was 100, and it's now all the way up to 300. So there's just a lot more of a power threshold that you can take into consideration as well.
Any room for me?
Keep fighting, my friends. Thanos may crave death, but life always finds a way to prevail.
Got yourself some mighty fancy jewelry there, bub. Care to dance?
You think death herself loves you, Thanos? That's insane. She's my girl!
Alright, got him stuck in that time vortex there. And then we can do it again.
But Thanos still stands. You delayed the inevitable.
But you can't have the same type of team setup. The Avenger game, do you mean the one that's meant to come out on PlayStation? Because that one does intrigue me. I think it's going to be for PlayStation 5 when that eventually comes out. If I'm thinking of the right one here.
So much more than a lone gauntlet.
Because I really like what was done with the Spider-Man game for PS4 as well.
The energies in this place are unlike any I have ever encountered. He's tapped into the well of all creation.
Really, he didn't trigger into the second phase here, because we were there. Uh-oh. Hopefully that's not the case. I run like 5 different save files, and there's one that I never touch to make sure that that's not what happens. It's also kind of convenient where you can increase your save files with the accounts, or the profiles, I guess I should say.
Reshape as I please.
Oh, come on.
We belong together.
Get me out of this, Amber.
The stones are driving you to do this. Fight them. You still have a chance to make things right.
Sorry.
There's 2 more sections here. 3 more sections, because there's the final fight there as well.
Complete this journey, and any who stand in my way will fall by my hand.
Thanos needs no glove to claim victory. I will crush you with my bare hand.
I can read your mind and your every move.
We have to fight against the Mind Stone's influence. We can't let Thane into our heads.
I will build a better universe. And if it must be from the ashes of this one.
Please don't erase reality. I really kind of
And then just 1 more here to go.
It's the only one I've got.
After the Soul Stone comes around here.
So this is what it feels like to be omnipotent.
Do you really think you are in control, child? The stones are using you.
Oh, I'm out of energy, huh?
If I had a soul left after all these years, this stone might scare me a bit more.
It's almost too much to handle. And
your mind and body are far too weak.
That ought to do it. Alright. That's a new record. 2 hours and 8 minutes. 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 10 seconds when compared to the previous 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 51 seconds. 14 minutes and 40 seconds ahead. Not bad.
The second that you believed you could surpass me.